All right, everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Jake, and I'm here with another Coach Jake video. This time, you can guess from this freeze frame, we are going to be covering Gesture's Roadhog from Hanamura in the match against the San Francisco Shock. Gesture played really consistently well on Hog throughout the series, but I wanted to show a map that Dynasty were able to win, to show the results of Gesture's hard work. I think he played really well pretty much every single map. We saw him playing really well throughout playoffs on the Roadhog, looking like potentially one of the best Roadhogs. And so I want to dive into that. Why is he one of the best Roadhogs? Obviously, he has good mechanics, but it's going to be more than that. It's going to be about team play, positioning, things that you can actually learn from and implement into your own gameplay and rank up. Because I know that's what the people want, is the SR. So to start with, as usual, we think about the comps here. Pretty standard across the board. Biggest things to notice here are that first you have Fitz on Sim, who they're going for a TP strat here. Which is a classic on Hanamura attack. There's a lot of different ways to use the TP. It's a pretty strong way to start the first fight. Fitz could either go on the TP himself and try and find point, or I think the more common play nowadays is to just go back to spawn and switch to Widow and play from mid while your team pressures point after they took the TP. But the biggest thing to notice in terms of compositional differences here is mostly that creative is on the Ana and Violet's on the Zen. And that's going to create a situation where Gesture, he can die very easily standing out in the open, just getting discorded and just pumped up with damage. But he has a big advantage in the Hog 1v1 because he can take nanos. If he does get hooked, he could get naded and saved, or the enemy Hog could get slept. So he's going to be definitely worrying about his Ana, making sure his Ana is staying alive throughout the fight, because the Ana and the Roadhog, they synergize a lot in this comp. So that's the biggest thing to notice, really, just off the bat in the compositional matchup here. I love this approach from Soul. This is the right way to come out. Almost everyone on Hanamura, they come out like the middle door, but it's actually not that good because it's you can like spam it from the high ground. Huge right click from Violet is going to force a res out from Toby so they can still push. That's definitely pretty painful. Res is a pretty valuable ability here. But Gesture, he's not doing anything crazy right here. If he peeks for a hook, he's a lot more likely to get hooked than he is to find one. So there's no way to really get aggressive here. He's just going to take this TP through the high ground and set up for the point contest. I love the position on the high ground. He doesn't want to drop off this high ground until he actually has something to do. I actually don't like it. I think he could have stayed high ground a little bit longer here, been a little bit more annoying. But I think it's called here that Super has been pushing into spawn for the Fitz kill. So Gesture's trying to hit the reflank or maybe catch Super when Super retreats. But his just misses the timing. That's actually a little bit unfortunate for Gesture. I actually like the way Soul are playing this, though. They're playing it very cautious because this first fight is like usually your best chance to win on attack. This is an extremely all-in play that Gesture just made, like jumping down like this, because I mean, look where he's at, right? Like he's dead here. If he can't kill somebody or his team doesn't push up very aggressively, he is definitely going to die here. So that play was definitely like, it would have been good if he hit the hook, but obviously since he misses the hook, now he's in big trouble. He's probably just dead. I like how he's just playing it very slow, though. Even though the Sigma's poking him down, it should take him a little bit long to die here. He does just die as late as he can. Yeah, I don't love that play, actually, from Gesture. I think that's just a little bit too all-in from him. But it's one of those things. It's like Hanamura offense. You want to be taking some big risks. You don't want to just be playing slow and cautious, as you're not going to win that way on the 2CP attack. Dynasty just trying to hold control of this high ground position. And now that we know what they're doing up here, let's see how Gesture approaches the refight here. This is pretty important on Hog. When you get picked, you are a hero who's pretty strong on their own, right? So coming back from spawn like this isn't the end of the world. But let's see how he plays it, because it's actually, this is a crucial moment where Dynasty still have some chance to win this fight. But it definitely is going to rely heavily on Gesture getting something done here. Looks like he's been called out. So he's going to take this rotation to high ground. I actually love this now from Gesture because he's going to find himself in a position where he's full flanking the enemy team. Like he's right behind them. Here, he denies this high ground that Striker wanted to take. And just poking. This is such a good position for Roadhog, right? Because there's no way anyone can come up these stairs and try and kill you, because they're just going to die to you on Roadhog as long as you have your hookup. And you can still right click. You can self-heal. This is like a really ideal way in this composition to be playing Roadhog. Once you can get to this position. And there we go, canceling the res and taking the nano as well to kill Moth. That's actually massive that they get the nano on him, because he probably won't get the kill on Mercy if he's not nanoed. I think this is a minor mistake from Violet. Like Violet could have blocked the hook with Trance, But, and he even tried to. It was very close, actually. You can see Violet went for the play. He's just a second late on it. But that's super important that they get the nano to him as well, because you need a one-shot, obviously, in the trance. Gesture does the combo. Gets the frag. Now he's still nanoed, so he's not really scared of anything. But at this point, this is first fight over. And I think what that came down to is that even though Gesture died early on that fight, going for the hook, that the Dynasty were able to regroup together and just play without him. Like, if you think about what Roadhog does as a hero, you're not really ever relying on your Roadhog. That's not always true, but generally speaking, your Roadhog doesn't make or break the composition, if that makes sense. Like, if your Roadhog is dead, it's not like you lost some key shield or some ability to suppress a DPS. The only thing you lost is like a big close range threat so the enemy could push you. But if the enemy does not push you, like in that case where they're playing double sniper and it's hard to push, then Roadhog being dead honestly doesn't matter too much. So Soul, they smartly just regroup in that fight and wait for Gesture to come back in. It takes him almost 2 minutes to get all the way around to the high ground flank. But once he's there, he's able to be really effective, despite the fact that he did die early on in the fight. So that's great patience from Soul, playing around the fact that the Roadhog's dead. Gesture working with his teammates to push this out. I like also how he crosses this sideline. I'm going to just go over this a little bit. This is an important position. This is an extremely dangerous place to be on Hanamura. Like, I'm sure everyone who's played Overwatch has experienced this. This choke right here is so bad. Like, you die so easily here. You even see Ons, like, essentially free firing. I mean, there's nothing that they can do to suppress him. So it's a great angle from Ons. But when Gesture comes out, he's going to stay right on this inside, right on this inside ledge. Like, instead of walking, you know, out to the middle of the ledge and walking down the middle lane, he's going to stay and hug this wall and even crouch a little bit as he goes. And that's just going to make, I mean, Ons is still going to be able to see him in this position, but it's just going to make Ons' life a little bit harder. Like, let's watch this sort of from this POV. And you can see when Gesture hugs the wall, at least someone on point wouldn't be able to see him. In this case, Shock are positioned really well. They have this Widow in a spot where she can just see him regardless. But it's still good positioning, because had there been, let's say, you know, a Hanzo or a Zen or anyone on point, they won't be able to discord you or put damage on you. So I like that he just, it's like a small detail, but Roadhog, it's very important to preserve your HP and not feed ult. So walking in such a way that you take minimum spam, even if you still take spam, just taking less spam is good. Now this fight is actually really important in this stairwell. This is kind of like a game defining fight. You can see Creative cannot really move up here because he'll just die to the Widow. So Creative has to just hold this angle. And so Gesture really cannot go past this point, right? Because this point on the stairs is the last place he's getting healed. And he definitely can't go past his Ana heals here without like a nano or something. So he's going to get in the stairs here. But look at how he's playing this. Look at this. His Ana can actually still heal him here. It's so important. I think so many Roadhogs, we get overzealous here and push. And it's not like Sigma is like the hardest fight in the world for Roadhog. But the problem is that you're going into the Zen and the Sigma together, who are definitely going to kill you. So the fact that he just stays at this top part of the stairs, and like as soon as they push him, he goes back to the spot where he's getting healed. Look, there he is, getting healed, gets the nade. He even still has a self heal, and now he's going to push in with the self heal. Takes the nano as well. Not going to be able to get these kills though. The Sigma is a great hero for responding to that type of play. Choi smartly runs right back into spawn to get the full heal. And in this position, I actually I would not hate seeing him whole hog here. Just like right now. Like, you're not going to kill these guys, but you're going to push him back into the spawn. And Violet might have to trance as well. But he likes to go back to the point and whole hog. Looks for other targets, but that actually lets Choi and Violet out. And he gets hooked and slammed at the same time. That's an easy way to die on Roadhog in this comp. But overall, I'd call this fight pretty okay from... actually, it's not that great from Dynasty. They use Nano, Whole Hog, and their own Sigma ult. And they got a tick, actually. I mean, to be fair, the fact that you get progress on this map is great. Like, even with what the Dynasty have right now, 59.4% on second point, like, this is already winnable on offense. So Gesture's play to push down that right stairwell to get map control was really important. And the way he played it with his Ana is, like, the most important thing that I want you to remember from this, is that his Ana is blocked from crossing because of a Widow. And when you have limited shields, that's going to happen a lot. Your Ana won't be able to move freely. She's going to have to be very cautious because she doesn't get protected. She just needs to hide. So you need to play in such a way on Roadhog that you're not forcing your supports to make an over-aggressive play. I like this rotation as well from Gesture. I think this is an instructive little bit of tech on Roadhog. Look at the way he crosses the sight line. He uses the damage resistance from the heal to cross the most dangerous part of the sight line, which is, of course, right here, right? Like, once he gets into this pit, he's relatively safe. But obviously right here, he's scared of, like, he doesn't know, like, he could get discorded and charge fired. It just so happens Violet's looking elsewhere, but he could get hit by that. Obviously, the Widow, he knows is looking at him. So he uses the heal to cross the dangerous part of the sight line, drops down into the pit, and he's also looking up because once he's in the pit, the Widow is no longer a threat. The Zen and the Sigma are no longer threats. Who's the threat when you're in the pit once you cross down to the pit? It's the Roadhog. So I actually like that, even though nothing came of it, that he was looking up here because he managed the threats one by one. As he's crossing the first choke, he uses the heal to manage the threat from Widow and Zen. And then as he is in the pit, he looks up to make sure that if the enemy hog peeks him, he could go for a hook, or he can spam right clicks and just scare the enemy hog away. So it's nice little fundamentals in that choke cross. Nothing really comes of it, but oh, Super's flanking him as well. Oh, that's so huge as he gets around the corner. I think that's a big mistake from Super to try and chase that, but I like that Gesture punished it. Like, once Super throws this hook, like, I like that Super went for this. He was just a little bit slow, but after this moment, I think Super got overextended here, right? Because I think both teams have their Hanzo Mercy combo on this flank, and both teams also have a Roadhog on this flank. So theoretically, this is even, but the reason it's not even is because A, I would call Prophet's position actually superior in this case, and B, because you used hook on Super. So because Gesture has hook advantage here, like, he's not at all scared of this fight. So when Super chases, it's like kind of a feed. I also like another little tech in the Roadhog mirror. This is a little bit, I would say, basic. Like, most advanced Roadhogs will know this. But when you're in the Roadhog mirror match, when you're trying to just 1v1 each other and get the kill, you don't want to hook until you can one-shot the enemy Roadhog. That might not be true in, like, if you have a nano or something, but or you have, like, your teammates all around you, like a diva next to you or whatever, and you don't care about getting hooked. But when you're just in this, like, scrappy fight with low numbers and the whole team isn't there, you want to just use your left click or your right click, whittle the enemy Roadhog down until he's low enough to get one shot. Because normally when you hook, you're going to give up a free shot. If you don't kill the enemy Roadhog instantly, he's also going to shoot you in the head, and then he's going to hook you and one shot you. So you need to make sure that the enemy Roadhog is definitely going to die from your first shot. So she does right here. Like, Super, it's like 250 HP or something. Easy kill. And Toby gets the damages on him, so even overkill there. But I think he had that regardless of the damages or not. So I like that little 1v1. He knows he has hook advantage, and he waits to hook until the enemy Roadhog is already low enough to get one shot. I like that he's walking in lower here. This is a huge hook on the Striker. Like, this kill is such a game-winning play. Ons has walls up, so Fitz is going to be suppressed. Fitz even has a nice angle here, but nonetheless, Fitz is still, like, a little bit suppressed because he's infrasighted by Ons. So the fact that Gesture found this hook is, like, I don't think they would have had any chance to fight without that kill. He's looking for the kill on Mercy, but he gets the Sigma instead. And here he's just unfortunately a second off his heal. I think this just comes down to the Valk from Moth. Like, when Moth has Valk here, it's just too much value to deal with. Super also comes out on ball. But that was actually a pretty good fight for Soul. Because think about what they used. They used Infrasight. I call that a mistake from Fitz. He used it really late. But they didn't use any support ults. So they're going to be at a support ult advantage. And Super had to switch over to the Wrecking Ball. So he lost his whole hog. So that's like a basically 2 ults up right now for the Dynasty. So they actually have a great chance to cap this. Gesture's just hoping somebody takes this forward peak. I mean, decent chance somebody goes for this. So I like this position. He goes for it. That's the right way to play that position. Like, if you're going to go for a positional hook like that, where you're basically just waiting for somebody to peek you, you have to attempt it. You have to attempt it on the very first time you see somebody. Like, even if it's like that and it's desperate, and Super peeked it properly where he's like really barely exposed on the peak. He peeked it far back from the ledge. So it was well played by Super. But like, regardless whether that hook hits or not, it's still good to throw it, because once Super sees you there, standing there looking for the hook, you're never getting another chance. So because you're about to get called out, you just go for it, right? When you're playing that sort of unique hook spot where you're basically waiting for the enemy to peek and then you're going to hook them. So well played by Super to deal with it, but also I think that's correct from Jester, just to attempt it, even if it looks desperate. Just go for, like, you see an enemy, instant reaction. Again, he's hugging this right wall as he crosses. Again, he's staying up at the top of the stairs, making sure that he's playing in his Ana LOS. This is super important for this comp. And now that Marvel is there, he can help the cross, so Jester can go a lot more aggressive. He gets nanoed here, but this is pretty rough, getting stunned like that. He's in a rough spot. He gets whole hogged, but just too much damage pouring into him there. That was a good effort from Jester. He was going for like the C9 whole hog there. I think that actually is a great way to whole hog against something like Trance. Both Mercies rezzing next to each other, and it looks like Marvel is clutching this. And there it is, Striker not on point. That actually could have gotten really bad, I think, if Striker had been on point. That really could have been a clutch for Shock. But nonetheless, I mean, even if they Shock hold there, they still gave up a ton of capture time, so it's not really the end of the world. But overall, I do feel like Jester's having these really intelligent positional plays. Like, think about in this position, he did that nice flank where he did the heal to cross the dangerous sight line for Zen and Widow, and then he's looking up to make sure he doesn't get hooked or like counterplayed or whatever. And then he goes up here and super overextends after the hook, and then, you know, Jester's able to just turn on him here and hold this corner, which it's really hard for Roadhog to push out of this dark hallway. It's really bad. So overall, really well played by Jester. I also like the way he waits for the nano to commit to the pushes. Like, he kind of waits in a spot where he can just trade damage or look for hooks, but he's not committing to anything. Only when the nano is coming and his team is committing with him is he gonna like charge forward and like dive in. And when you're playing against something like Zen Sigma, those heroes can so easily kill you together. It's really incredible how fast you can die, because even your heal is not safe, because A, Discord is ridiculous damage with Zen, so like even the heal might not be enough, but B, you could just get hooked, you could get stunned out of your heal and just get destroyed on damage, or hooked by an enemy hog or something. So I do like the way that Jester's patient when it comes to pushing into a dangerous hero combo like Sigma and Zen, which I would argue is basically one of the most dangerous combos that there is. Well, from a Roadhog's perspective, like you have like a stun that's relatively easy to hit on Roadhog. You have a way to defend the Zen with the Sigma shield and the Sigma eat. So Jester in that hard matchup is forced to play a bit passively, which is quite good. Now Shock has sent Striker and Super into the back line here, so Jester feels relatively safe charging forward. It's a really nice hook. Choi did a really perfect shield there, but it also forced the drone from Violet because he wasn't sure. And the sleep is there onto Super, so easy follow-up for the Roadhog. That hook is actually huge onto odds, even though it doesn't immediately get the kill. Because if you think about this comp, when you're playing a Pharah, like, you really do need your Ashe and your BAP to be focused on the Pharah. Those are the and D.Va too, to an extent. But when you throw, well, I guess it was Sigma before. But when you get a hook on something like Ashe, and it forces the BAP to use a drone, and it forces the Sigma to shield, that means everyone who's supposed to be on Pharah duty is now off Pharah duty, and Prophet is able to succeed because of that. So that hook is actually really critical to why that fight goes so well for the Dynasty, and it's also a very important fight to win decisively, because first point is critical, really, and the first fight especially is critical when you're playing this Pharah comp. Definitely easiest time to lose is first fight before you have any ults like Nano or something. Right now in the pre-fight, he's also setting up in this flank, just fully hiding here. I think this is a play where he's looking to just kill the backline. He's looking to just kill Violet when the fight starts. I actually like this from Jester because it's also a possibility that they could just come to him. Very close hook. He just slightly missed it there because of the staircase, but that's definitely nice. I actually like this positioning from Jester because it means that Ons, I mean, this is an okay spot from Ons, but it's really hard. Like, think about the way Dynasty are playing this right now. They're giving up all the pressure onto point. Striker does get, I think, it's just a solo kill onto creative, which is absolutely ridiculous that he finds a kill there. Maybe he got assisted or something. But Super has taken so much damage. Choi is still here. He's still healthy, but Gesture in this position by staying alive here. Like if he just runs out here like a bot, he's just gonna die to the Ashe. Like he won't even survive the cross here, or he's gonna take 400. He's gonna eventually die. I mean, and there's also a diva on the enemy team, so going for these YOLO plays isn't that good. But just staying alive here and just preserving your HP and not feeding and allowing your teammates over here to regroup, allowing Marvel to get re-healed. Prophet, he's gonna grab a Mega and come back to the fight. So Dynasty is at this moment of weakness, and they need to regroup. So Jester is responding to that. Even though he is healthy, he's responding to that by just chilling. Like he's peeking, but he's not walking. He's not committing out. Look, he goes for the hook, doesn't land it. Immediately back to the safe spot. Now he does go for the cross because the res came through onto creative, and Ons is also no longer pocketed. The Mercy has left Ons, so he's less of a threat. And with the res onto creative, that's when Jester feels like he can get back to his team. So this is another great thing on Roadhog. Like I was saying before on the first offense, Roadhog is a great hero on your own. Like you're pretty hard to kill in any sort of 1v1. There's not really any heroes in the game that dominate you in a 1v1. So it's okay to just hold down a flank and bide your time for when your teammates are ready to group up with you. If your teammates aren't ready to group up, there's no point in you running across the open and just taking a bunch of damage. It's only at the moment when your teammates are ready for that it's worthwhile. This hook is insane. That's like in terms of impact, like it's super, super high impact because Violet is sitting there using the amplification matrix and now he's dead. So basically just denied the whole amp matrix ult. I like this flank too. Easy kill. Sigma ult sets it up. And I like also that he backs off after that kill. Misses that hook, which is pretty painful, but super not dying actually. Barely survives this. It's a good whole hug though. Shock was looking like they were in a pretty dominant position right there, so this buys a lot of time for Dynasty. And whole hog isn't the most important ult here. Like he would have loved to get a kill on that Wrecking Ball. I think that's what he's going for. But just pushing the Wrecking Ball out of the fight, and you got Nano as well, so you're just unkillable with damage. It's all great. I also like that he's threatening this flank from behind. Violet is wisely scouting it out, but this flank really slows down the progress from Shock's offense. This is a great minefield from Super, though. It's going to make it really hard for him to get back. And Violet is doing such a good job with these double jumps, just baiting hooks. I think if Gesture had found that first hook onto Violet, it could have been a very different situation. Like if when Violet dropped off the high ground, and if Gesture gets that kill, Shock have no res, Dynasty very likely could have full held first. So I like that he went for the back flank. He just didn't land the hook. But overall, it was a strong play. Now he's just setting up on the high ground here. He knows that the enemy team is focusing on the coast. Oh, so huge, so huge. Let's rewatch this little moment here. I want to unpack why he's on high ground and why he jumps off high ground. This is a really important concept on Roadhog because Roadhog has no way to naturally get high ground. You're very slow. So walking to high ground is like a very long time. You don't want to jump off high ground for no reason. But at the same time, if the enemy makes a commitment elsewhere on the map, you can jump off high ground. If you jump off too early, then these enemies can literally just run to high ground and be here while you on Roadhog are still like running up these stairs and you're like out of the fight. You're a non-factor. So Gesture has to wait until he gets the call from his teammates that there's a commitment going on the other side of the map. And this is the moment he knows that commitment is in. Both tanks are in his vision committing on this other side of the map. Baptiste jumps in the window and he doesn't know it yet, but so are Ashe and Mercy. And it looks like Marvel probably even saw it. Marvel's in a great position as well to poke this flank. He's going to do a lot here. But Gesture jumps down to the point, and this hook is also just a huge game winner. I love that little detail as well that he pulls the BAP to the right to get out of Matrix LOS. Like, if you look Choi as this Matrix, if he just hooked him and tried to shoot him like, you know, dead ahead, then Choi very much could have Matrix. You see this Matrix from Choi? If Choi had Matrix just dead ahead where the hook was, then he would have gotten Gesture here. But because Gesture pulls to the right, he denies the counterplay. Which it's like this little detail is actually a game changer. Because Batiste is a hero where if you just save him one time, he's going to just do like a quick jump and he's going to be back on the high ground, right? So it's actually a huge deal if you just save him from the initial hook burst. But this fight looks like it's pretty much over from here. Just the little details to turn the hook to the right there to pull, not only to pull Violet closer to his teammates and further from Violet's desired position, but also to break LOS with the enemy D.Va, so that there's no chance to for the damage after the hook follow-up to be blocked by D.Va. I like the way Gesture plays these fights now, because the play he went for last time was like relatively straightforward, right? To go to this middle map position and try and hook to high ground. But because he realizes with the help of Marvel that no one is even contesting this top side of the map, like no one's even going there. So Marvel is capitalizing this by just running across the bridge, and like he's just gonna, Marvel can like run in behind these guys and start shooting them in the back maybe, or just stay on this high ground, which is a very dominant position on the map. You control a lot of space. So Marvel is basically doing all of the tanking responsibilities in this fight, in this situation. Like he's controlling the key element of the map, and he doesn't really need help. So Gesture, this is one of those rare moments you go for the YOLO flank. Like Gesture has avoided doing this for the most part. That's not entirely true. He looks for the moments where it's safe to make this play, and his teammates aren't going to be punished if the flank doesn't work out. And in this case, it does work out, so it's really huge. He basically zones the Mercy out as well. Moth Valks just to keep the fight going, but he looks pretty desperate. It's a nice boop by Super. But Super, oh, I actually really like this from Gesture. His singular focus here is contesting point. Like, nice boop by Super. That's actually huge because it slows Gesture down a lot. But Gesture doesn't even care about getting kills here. Look at him. He's like holding W into the D.Va boops. Using the whole hog to like mine clear here. This hook is god tier. It's actually super hard to hit a hook like that. Gesture's doing a nice job trying to boop him off point. But okay, only now, not only is Gesture very low, but the Bob is now holding point, and so is Marvel. So because of that, Gesture's free to make this play. Like to drop into the pit is what I mean. Doesn't kill the sleeping D.Va. This is really important. And I saw this in the 2xp, but I really want to go over this. This is so critical here, the way he plays this. Look at this. When you have a Roadhog, not only, like, obviously everyone should know, you know, you ought to know at the highest level, like, when a baby D.Va is the last player up, you don't need to kill her. In fact, you don't want to kill her. You want to delay her as long as you can. But in a lot of comps, when the D.Va tries to remech, it's very important that you kill her, because she could get in the mech and fly away, and you actually can't kill her. But Roadhog is actually a almost unique hero in that even if the D.Va gets a remech off, it's not an issue. As long as your teammates are there with you, you can just instantly hook the mech and kill it again, and not only farm a crap ton of ult, but also the baby D.Va will get a full heal off of the remech, so that you can then delay her another time. So Roadhog can actually go incredibly ham with delaying baby D.Vas, because you can actually allow her to remech. She gets back in the suit, and then you just left click the suit, and you want to like, look at the way he kills the suit. This is actually important. In case you're doing this and you're on Roadhog, look, you start with a shotgun. Then you hook right as she gets back in the suit, and obviously everyone else is helping him here. But yeah, that's the key. Is you want to get a free shot on the D.Va's back when she's jumping into the suit, and then you hook her after the suit comes down. And then Choi back to full HP on baby D.Va. He does not want to be full HP on baby D.Va. This is super painful. And this position, you guys, is so bad, because you could just hook, like, the D.Va has to go to this choke to get off the map, and you can just wait for her to go in the choke and then hook her and pull her even further away. This is so painful. Like, this is going to be a masterclass delay here. You can hook her right now. I don't even think they needed to kill her here. I think they could have gone even harder with the delay. Actually, I think they could have hard committed to delaying them here. But typically, this is the right way to do it, is like, when you're delaying the baby D.Va, you wait until the enemy team like comes back to save her, you know, saving Private Ryan style. The rest of the squad comes back, tries to save the baby diva, and that's actually when you want to kill her for real, and then start killing the enemy team. Because the real value of the baby diva stall, the optimal situation of a baby diva stall, is one in which not only do you eventually kill the baby diva, but the enemy team is overcommitted when she does die, so that they have to die as well. So not only do you reset the timer even more, but you farm a ton of ult on every hero. So I don't actually, in hindsight, I don't hate. This is like, in theory, is the right time to kill baby diva. I think in this unique situation, they could have been a little more greedy, but I actually like the conservative play. It's Hanamura second. You don't need to be greedy on defense. You just play consistent style, and you're probably gonna win. Yeah. Yeah, Violet did jump off the map here. I don't think that was even intentional, but regardless, I don't think it even mattered. Dynasty got so many kills so quickly. Now we're seeing a different push. We're seeing a very different push. So this is important to see how Jester reacts to this push. We're seeing finally a high ground contest. Jester's looking for the ball, but he doesn't commit. Ball's too slippery. Even if Jester drops and hooks the ball, ball will still get away. So he stays the high ground, which is really important. And I think they're about to make a very aggressive push to counter this high ground play. Oh, big drone, but the damage has been done, really. And this is a great nano on Roadhog because, I mean, he doesn't get any kills with it, obviously, besides the first one. But he's, like, unkillable, and the enemy has to go all the way to the high ground. Which would be okay, but, I mean, Jester can just freely poke them. Now it's just time to focus point. Spam melee while the Sigma eats in front of you. That's a classic. Very important to do that on any hero. If you're pressuring the Sigma and he uses his kinetic grasp, just spam melee him in his face. If you're not a hero like Tracer who can like get behind him or something. Finally, Shock switch over to this attack strat that I think they wanted to run, but I think they're in huge trouble here, right? Like, you know, one fight with the strat is really bad. And Dynasty have a great ultimate situation here to make this hold. No nano though, so because Jester doesn't have access to a nano, I think he probably won't want to be the first one in here. He's waiting. Oh, he is gonna be the first one in. Oh, it's because they have this big flux. This is so huge, actually. They do this push because they have flux and dragon. So they do because they have the flux dragon. That's why he goes for the play. Like, he's not initiating the fight. He doesn't have nano, which is typically how he initiates. If he's going to initiate, is running in with the nano. But in this case, he waits for Marvel to start the fight with the flux, and for Prophet to have the follow-up dragon. So the flux comes in, and even though Super hooks him, Super's inside the dragon, so yeah, they're screwed. I would argue that Jester could just whole hog here and just like push them out, but it just doesn't matter. He could just stand where he is and whole hog. Nah, alright, he's gonna go for the most conservative play of all. Like, this is actually the even more correct play. Like, whole hogging into them would be like a style points play, but you actually risk dying. It's unlikely, but it's very possible. Like, the Zen and the Ashe could just hard burst you down if you try and come out of this choke where the enemy has a full surround on you. So Jester is smarter than me. I would have played like a moron and whole hog just because it's last fight. But instead, because it's last fight and they're up 3 kills, the only way Dynasty can lose is pushing. If you stand on point with 6 players, your chance to win is 100%. So Dynasty, they play the 100% win con. Rez comes in on a Choi and just whole hog, so there's no chance to touch. So that's like even more high value precision play, like playing optimal percentages than like, I mean, that fight was over once they got 3 kills on the high ground. Jester could have literally suicided and they would have been fine, but Jester just played it even more tactically, which, to be fair, Roadhog in that situation, that is typically the way you want to play on Roadhog in the final fight, is literally just, if you're up players already, you got those early picks on Roadhog, or your teammates did, then just stand on the point with whole hog and just push them away. And even if there's a hero like Tracer or Diva or something who can make it to point while you're whole hogging, they're going to use all of their resources to do it. And even then, they're going to take a ton of damage. Tracer's still going to get forced to recall out and pressured out. So they might trigger the OT, but they're going to probably die trying. So playing point there on Roadhog is like definitely the way to do it. Overall, I think this is a great VOD to look at because I think what made Jester so effective this game it really wasn't some sort of like incredible mechanics. Like, you know, I mean, I think he has good mechanics. I think he played well with the hooks and stuff, but I don't think that's what I don't think that's the reason that Jester succeeded on Hog this game. I think the reason Jester succeeds on Hog this game mostly comes down to the way he plays around his teammates. Like when he's attacking, he's really worried about playing around his Ana and making sure that he's getting good heals. And when he's defending, he's really worried about playing with his Sigma and making sure that the two of them together are effectively controlling the map, and or going for kills when they're not pressured. If they're given map control for free, then they can go for, you know, more aggressive kills. But yeah, overall, I think it's a great VOD to look at from Jester here. I think you can learn a lot from his Roadhog because the way he plays is a very consistent style. And I think that last fight really does show it, right? Like, you know, Jester, he could have just gone in, you know, YOLO, try and kill them all in the high ground. But it's totally unnecessary. You know, this dragon combo is really well done. Both tanks are dead. I believe Striker is flanking and he dies as well. So at this point, you can't really lose as the Dynasty. And what does Jester do? He just comes and chills on point the whole hog, so there's not even a chance to touch. So just overall, he's going for the very high percentage plays. He's consistently working with his teammates. Only time he's not working with his teammates are when nobody's getting pressured. And when he has that free space, then he's going to go look, like if nobody's stopping him, he will go look for the flank kills. He will go push the flank and try and find that hook on an enemy Mercy or Ashe or Baptiste or anything he can find, really. But I like that he doesn't overplay his hand. You know, if he misses a hook, he's going to go back. You know, if he doesn't have his heal, he's probably just going to wait for the heal to make a committed play, or wait for a nano boost or something like that. So, yeah, great VOD from Jester. Really impressive performance, I think, across the grand finals, across playoffs. I think Jester had maybe the most consistent good hog of all. Of course, they weren't able to take the championship, but I think Jester did play pretty well. I think anyone can learn from Jester's play style here in this VOD. All right, well, thanks for watching. Stream, YouTubers.